What I've got here is I've got different sort of standards of knives, okay? So these knives here, really poor. Never buy a knife like that, alright? It's really flexible, it's got a serration on one side and not on the other. This will probably just go that deep in the handle, alright? This one here as well, no good at all. This next stage up, these are your sort of like your Briscoe's kind of knife. They're a bit stiffer. This is actually probably not a bad bread knife, because it's got that nice jagged edge. And this one here, you see the metal runs right through the handle, and you'll get an edge on that, but it won't stay sharp as long as a professional knife. This is an entry-level professional knife. It's a Victorinox. Same with these ones, the handle actually only probably goes into about here, but they have a life guarantee on them that they won't come out. The difference between knives is the steel. Like this steel's no good, this steel's not too bad, this steel's better, but then you can get right up to like $400 for one knife. I had a knife which is a Japanese one, which is $400 just for this, and it used to keep its edge real good, alright? So likewise with the steels, this one here is really coarse, so this will be your Briscoes. It's no real good for anything, it's too coarse, that's just a toy. Then you get your different finenesses. These two are fine. This is really old. I got this when I was 16. I was telling the boys. This is a new one, and if you feel that, they're quite smooth. And then you've got this one, which is a diamond one. So that's ultra smooth, and you actually clean this with an eraser. See how black it is? It hasn't been cleaned. So you'd use using a razor because it's ultra fine. This one will take a lot of material away from your knife, whereas these ones won't. But this will sharpen it quicker, right? So the steels are used for honing. Honing, that's a really important word to remember, honing your knives. To sharpen them, you use a sharpening stone, alright? So we've got a couple here as well. So we've got an oil stone and a water stone. So the water stones, you obviously use with water. The oil ones, you put a little bit of oil, and they come in different grades as well. So this is really fine. This one's got two, so you start on the rough one, you go to the smoother one, and then you move to your steel. Okay, that's how you're going to sharpen your knife, alright? So we're going to show you how to run through those. You go rough, and everything you go rough through to smooth. Alright, this is another housewife thing, the Briscoes. You put your knife in it, and you just basically run it backwards and forwards, and that's supposed to shape your knife like that, alright? So if you look on a knife, you'll see it's got a little line that runs up through here. Can you see that? It's about 1 millimetre. Yeah, that's called an edge, alright? You need to know that's an edge. So what happens is when you sharpen it on a stone, you sharpen the edge. So if you looked at your knife in a microscope, when it's sharp, so the handle's here, yeah? So it's like that. So when you're looking at it, when you've got it honed, that will be nice and pointy, yeah? The more you use it, the more it starts, this is obviously microscopic, it rounds off like that, yeah? So then you end up with a blunt knife. So then you use a stone, and what your stone does is cuts it back in like this, so you've got your point again, yeah? And then your steel just hones it, just gets it nice and pristine like that. So basically what you're doing for a sharp knife, you need that edge that runs along here, and it will create your nice sharp. So the more you use it, the more it rounds off, the more you have to hone it down and make it sharp again, alright? So that's how it works. That's why if you use a knife and you're using it on a table without a chopping board, you're going to damage the knife really fast because it's too hard. It will just spray it out. The other thing is those old school glass chopping boards, it's in those.
Oh yeah.
Nasty, because they're just hard, you know. So always use a chopping board for everything you're going to do, alright? Because it saves the edge of your knife. The way you can tell that your knife is sharp is that you put your finger on it and you just run it side to side like this. And you should grip your knife a little bit, or grip your thumb a little bit, like that, alright? And the other one is getting the tomato. You can just skim it across the tomato. If it cuts the skin quite nicely, then it's all good, right? So, what you need to know, that's your theory of your knives, okay? So for your knife, to look after it, we need to know how we're going to store them. So this is a real poor way of storing them. That's not good, alright, because you're damaging the knives. You need to know how to sharpen them. So you're going to take the stone first. So on your knife, if you're going to cut into the stone, you'd cut it into the stone, yeah? See what I mean by cutting into it? So when you're sharpening it, you need to bring it away. You're drawing it away from the edge, and you go from one tip to the other. So this side would be that way. You start at the heel. The angle is really important. You need that on a 35 to 40 degree angle, and you need to draw it back. All right. Now I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on that. What you need to do is equal amounts. I'm going to do 5 on this side, like this, and then I turn it over, and then I'm going to go from the tip, so that arrow is parallel with that, all right, with the stone. Then you go back. Do you like that sound?
No.
Then you're going to go the other way. So I need to take a video of you guys doing this. What's really important is you keep the angle the same all the way through the stroke. If you start off flat and you're bringing it up like this, what happens then is you end up with blunt spots, and it will blunt your knife. Then you can test it. So this is still blunt as. So just keep going, and what you're doing, you're wearing that little triangle out, so you end up with that edge, and you should be able to see a nice edge on it. So I need to see you be able to do this proficiently enough that it's going to actually work to sharpen your knife. Now this will actually take quite a bit of material away from the knives, material as in the knife. So the more you sharpen your knife on this, the smaller and smaller your knife's going to get. So it's really important to make sure you go from the tip and right down to the heel. If you stop halfway, you end up with a dish. And the same with how you use a steel, which I'll show you in a minute. Alright, so arrow, you can practice with an arrow on it, but when we take the video we need to take the arrow off. Alright, so that's all there is to it. And then hopefully that'll start growing my skin a bit more now. Once you've done that, you need to wash it before you use it, because obviously it's got grey stuff on it. I can feel a rough edge on that. That's the coarse side, yeah? Then you've got the smooth side, the same thing on the smooth one. Using a chopping board, this is where you guys are going to use your steel. Okay, you're going to put it down on a grip mat so it doesn't move. You're going to take a steel. These have got little points on. You're going to put that in the board and put a little bit of light pressure on it. And then you want the same angle as what you did on there as here. This is where, now you're going to go down all the way. This is where you cut it, so you're cutting into it this time. Down, angle all the way the same. Now for some reason, people struggle. They're alright with this side, but then they get here and they're like, ooh, I don't know why. But, so you're going to have to practice this a little bit. Okay, that will give you your honed edge, right? So honing, sharpening, honing. Alright? You're not going to go like this because you'll catch your finger. These are guards on these, but it's safe for you guys to go like this. And it does the same thing. Now I've got a really bad habit. My knives I wear out here because when I'm sharpening them I double hit. Like you can hear it going that bit, where I should be like concentrating on just going like this. But I don't, I go like that. Anyway, that's what you're going to do. Next thing I want you to do, you need to video, is chopping. So you've all chopped stuff, you've all held your knife with a pinch like this. The bridge of your hand, you know, you're going to hold it. If it's too big, like for some of you small hands there, Imogen, you cut it down like this, alright? You're going to put your fingers like this, you're going to rub the knife, you're going to keep that bit there, you're going to rub it against your fingers, and we want to see you just chopping some stuff like that, yeah? Now I need to video you doing this. And those of you that are doing this next semester, we're going to do a tray of different cuts that we need to do as well. Alright, so chop, 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 chop. So I need to take a 10-second video of you chopping. Now when you're chopping, just remember to what I'm looking for is this on the bottom sliding it through, close your fingers, your thumb and your little finger out the way. Don't hold stuff like this because you'll chop, yeah?
Do you have to go as fast as you?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Small.
Yeah, nice and fine. What I'm looking for is that you actually rolling through, yeah? This is what I'm looking for, rolling with this hand holding everything steady. You can go this speed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's my speed.
Which is what I expect from you guys, alright? I don't expect you to be able to chop that fast. Alright, if you guys got any questions,